Welcome, everyone, to another episode of Streamed and Screened, an entertainment podcast about movies and TV from Lee Enterprises. I'm Terry Lipshetz, a senior producer at Lee and co-host of the program with Bruce Miller, editor of the Sioux City Journal, a longtime entertainment reporter, and hopefully well-rested after our little Thanksgiving break.
Well-rested? What do you mean well-rested? I was watching movies during the whole break. They are stacking up like wood in my house. That's how many new movies we've got coming. And if you thought the year was done, you are absolutely wrong. There are so many new movies that are coming. I can't keep up with it. Even though I would like to say that we've seen the best picture so far this year, I think that could be wrong. I think we could be seeing one that could slip in there and it'll be best picture.
Wow.
Could. Yeah.
The operative word.
That is the operative word. I got to tell you, though, I went to the theater to see Wish.
Okay.
And I was all ready. Yeah, I like cartoons. I really do.
I
like
love them too.
Films, and I'm all in with all that stuff. And when I saw this, I was so disappointed. It tries to be a tribute to all 100 years of the Disney company. So it brings back concepts, kind of characters. Peter Pan floats through there somewhere. And there's just a sensibility of how can we make another buck off this stuff? That's what I think Wish is. And you'll see characters that remind you of other characters, but I was disappointed because I always, at Christmas, you look forward to the big Disney movie that they put out there.
Yeah.
And this isn't it. Even the songs are lame.
Really?
So let it go.
I've seen the trailer, and the first time I always get excited because I love Disney movies. I love classic animated Disney movies. And also the Pixar movies as well. I saw the trailer for Wish, and my first reaction was that this looks terrible. There was nothing about it that grabbed me, and it felt old. I don't know. There was something about it, like, I don't know what it was, but I looked at it and saw, I feel like I've seen this story 100 times before. Maybe I haven't, but I don't know. That's just the initial reaction I had.
It takes place on the Mediterranean, and the castle looks vaguely like the one from The Little Mermaid. But they had trouble with that because some disgruntled animator drew something that wasn't exactly a seashell, shall we say. And so the idea that they would reference that somehow visually with this is just a real, oh, okay. And the part that Chris Pine plays, he's the kind of the king of this odd world. And he is the keeper of wishes. Okay. And the guy can sing. That's the thing we learn from this, is that Chris Pine can sing. So good news. But the songs that he's singing are like, really? Is this really what you want to be singing about? And he's got an apprentice, Asha, who is voiced by Ariana DeBose, and she wants to push the agenda for her grandfather, who's turning 100, and she wants his wish to be approved. But this king decides that he doesn't want to grant all the wishes. He wants to keep the power to himself. Now, there's a political message in this, and I wouldn't doubt that there was a hidden Disney versus Ron DeSantis message lurking somewhere in there too. But it's just, I don't know. And when you see these friends who are the seven dwarves, you think, well, what was that all about? Why are they doing those kind of stupid things? So Wish was not what I was wishing for. Wish didn't come up to the level. And I don't dare talk too much about it, but at Christmas time, there are going to be some other family films that I think are much more appropriate, more fun, and Dad and Mom won't have to worry about, oh, what are they trying to say with this thing, and how do we unpack it? More there to be seen. The other odd thing I noticed over the holidays, and looking at, I swear I must have seen 10 or 15 movies, is there's a lot of kind of worry about families. And what does family mean? May December is this kind of based on the Mary Kay Letourneau case where she married a younger, he was a student of hers.
Student, right, yeah.
But this is not their story. It's just kind of inspired by, if you will, and it shows what the the relationship is like much later in their lives. And a woman comes to their home because she's doing a role based on this, and she wants to see what the relationship is all about. Natalie Portman plays the actress, and Julianne Moore is the Mary Kay Letourneau part. But the one to watch for, and he won a Gotham Award, is Charlie Melton, who plays the young man in an older age, and what he's like with his wife and his children. And it's fascinating. It's fascinating. You understand that maybe he was the one who suffered the most in the situation. But it's May, December, and that's an interesting thing about family dynamics. All of Us Strangers is another interesting kind of unpacking. And this is a bunch of, what do I want to call it? It's a fantasy of sorts, because you're wondering what happens or what happened that this man is talking to his parents who are dead. Mm-hmm. It's very Sixth Sense in that respect. And he asks them questions about things. And it's can you talk to your parents or somebody that's important to you in your life who is gone? And can they advise you about your life now? Very, very fascinating, but I don't know that it'll catch on with everybody. Paul Mescal is in there as a romantic interest for Andrew Strong, I believe it is. Andrew Strong is the guy whose parents are there. And Claire Foy and Jamie Bell play the parents. Now, they're younger than Andrew, but you see that he has a relationship with this guy, and he's going to talk to his parents about this relationship. And it's fascinating to see how that is unpacked. Saltburn is another family relationship thing. Have you heard about Saltburn?
No, I haven't.
Emerald Fennell or whatever, however you want to pronounce it, who won an Oscar for Promising Young Woman, shows this young man going to Oxford, and he's from not a wealthy family, and he goes to Oxford, and he sees that there really is a clannishness there to all of the people who go to Oxford, and this rich kid, played by Jacob Elordi, is nice to him. But then he returns the favor and lets him borrow his bike when Jacob's bike breaks down. And that gets them talking and becoming friends. And the rich kid invites the poor kid to come and spend the summer at his house, because he comes from his dad is supposedly dead, and his mother is, she has problems, issues. And so he said, well, come and spend the summer with us. We'll have lots of fun at Saltburn. That's the name of their house. Well, the house is incredible. It's like something you'd see out of Downton Abbey or whatever. And the people who are there are crazy. His family, crazy. The hangers-on, crazy. And it all kind of comes together about, what does family mean? How do you create a family? Is there a family? What do you do if your family is against you? And what if you lie? It's very fascinating film that I think is going to get a lot of attention in this follow-up during the Christmas season. And then the other one that's a big family film is Color Purple. That's coming out on Christmas Day. And that's a musical version of Color Purple. It was a big musical a number of years ago and didn't really go anywhere. And then they brought it back to Broadway by stripping it down. Instead of having huge sets and lots of costumes, they did it with chairs. And Cynthia Erivo was in it, and she won a Tony. The Thing won a Tony for Best Revival. And now they've taken all of that and decided to turn that into a movie. Oprah, who was in the original Color Purple movie, is one of the producers. Steven Spielberg is a producer. Quincy Jones is a producer. And Fantasia Barrino, who was an American Idol winner, she was in the original musical version of Color Purple. I know this is confusing. And she's now starring in this, and obviously can be an Oscar nominee. But it shows how she warmed to her family and how her love for her sister kept her going during some very dark times. So family becomes a real interesting kind of thing. But those aren't the films that people are talking about for Best Picture. Maestro is the thing that you got to look out for, with Bradley Cooper and Carey Mulligan. And this is about Leonard Bernstein and his career. And it just takes a couple of small moments in his life that are kind of focused. And you get to see what he was like and what the family dynamic was all about. And that is getting more buzz than you can imagine. I mean, I keep hearing about it all the time. Poor Things is another interesting one with Emma Stone, who they say is possibly going to be Best Actress.
Really?
And it's a Frankenstein kind of film where she is brought back to life, and then she has to deal with all the things that happened as a result of that.
Interesting.
Willem Dafoe plays the doctor who brings her back to life.
Oh, nice.
Ruffalo is the man who marries her and brings her into the world. So, American Fiction is another one that's getting a lot of buzz. Jeffrey Wright is in that. And this is about a Black writer who writes a book with all of these kind of cliches, for lack of a better term, anti-Black stuff. And it becomes a huge hit. And he has to reconcile, how do I deal with this when I'm doing something that's against my own best interests? And that's another one that people are talking about. There's one that I think Grandma will love called Boys in the Boat. And, there's one of those ones that either Clint Eastwood comes up with or somebody in the background that you say, really, what was this all about? But it's one where you think, I might like that. It's Green Book all over. But this is about a 1936 rowing team.
Oh, right. Yeah.
And directed by George Clooney.
Yep.
And it's their kind of story. And it's very simple. It isn't one that you're going to, go, oh, and then the Nazis were right there. It isn't like that. It's just, can they do it? And then it's a Rocky story. Come from behind. And Rocky, if you may remember, was one of those Christmas films that people thought, this is not going to win anything. This isn't anything. And it beat all the films that they were talking about for the whole year. All the President's Men, Network. Those were all the big kind of buzzwords during that period. And Rocky came out at Christmas and blew everybody away.
Yeah. So, I saw, because I just went with my family. We saw the Hunger Games prequel right before Thanksgiving, and one of the trailers they showed was Boys in the Boat. And I'm sitting there watching this trailer and thinking, like, I really want to see this, because I love inspirational sports movies to begin with. But as you said, the comparison to Rocky, it felt like kind of a Rocky-ish type story where you've got this group. They are the underdogs. They are they're going up against heavyweights in collegiate rowing. And then, of course, you've got the Nazi Germany of the time and the Olympic competition. So it seems like a real fascinating one, and one that I definitely would like to get out and see.
There's a documentary out about it that's been around, but this is a fictionalized version. And I think those are more accessible for most people. They're ones that you can really kind of latch onto and say, that's interesting. So I would tend to think it will do well at Christmas. I don't know that it'll necessarily be nominated for Best Picture, but I do think it's one that Grandma is going to say, I'd like to see that boat movie. That looks like a good movie for me.
Yeah.
And I get a lot of stuff in the mail, and it's like reminders that you should look at this one more time. Creed 3, speaking of Rocky, they're pushing like crazy. And I didn't, is that on my list? No. The Margaret movie, is it you, is it you, God? It's me, Margaret, something like that. Long title. That's coming back with a vengeance. And you'll see that Rachel McAdams is clearly being talked about as a Best Supporting Actress candidate. But they're pulling those things into the Spider-Verse, or what is it? What's the correct name for the new version? Across the Spider-Verse.
Across the Spider-Verse. Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse.
Spider-Verse.
Right. Yes.
Is also getting a huge push. Air is back with a vengeance. In fact, I think I got a cassette player from them that said, if you want to listen to the music from Air, here you go. Barbie is back with a vengeance. There are a lot of things that are Barbie. Oppenheimer I'm
Oppenheimer is on streaming now, I think, or just
yeah,
about to
and
be. Yeah.
they are doing a big push too. So those are all ones that are making an impact. The Iron Claw, I think it's called the Iron Claw, the wrestling movie.
Mm-hmm.
That is going to be a surprise because it's got great performances in it. And you go, Zac Efron, really? Hold your breath because you'll be ready for something that's real interesting. And it's got Jeremy White.
Yeah.
So come on,
From The Bear.
from The Bear. If you're in The Bear, you got to be good,
He's
right?
cooking up something new, right?
He is cooking up something new. Is that a wrestling term? I think it is. No, there are screen biographies. Priscilla, which is
Yep.
about Priscilla Presley, that'll be big. Rustin, which is about the civil rights leader, that'll be big. So it's a lot of stuff that I'm looking at that I'm thinking, and I haven't even scratched the surface of the foreign language films. There's a ton of ones from Asia, a ton, and they could actually be factor into the final round of things. So I started out at the beginning of the year with a list of the best films that I thought would be in the mix. And as I go along, there are so many new films that are coming in at the last minute that start bumping something off the list. And you go, wow, I didn't realize that. But what I did do was I had relatives, and I said to the relatives, okay, you need to go to the movies. Well, I look at other things. And so I want you to go see something in the theater where you can really experience what this is all about. And I pushed them off to the Holdovers because I think that really holds up. And it's something that I dare tell them about, and they don't go, oh, that was just terrible. You pick the worst movies. If you like a movie, I know I'm going to hate the movie. So I had to have something that worked with it, and they loved it. They were raving about the Holdovers, and maybe that's got the legs to hang in there for the rest of the year. I don't know. But I think what we're learning at this time, it ain't over till it's over.
Well, it sounds like a lot of really good options here. Now, how many of these have you been able to screen so far?
It was between 10 or 15.
Okay.
And I sit at night and it's so unfair because all year long you wait for something good. And this is like good, great, incredible, good. And you've gone the whole year without seeing something that really trips some kind of trigger in you to make you want to see it. And you want to see it again. You want to see it a second time. But it depends on how I might see it. I might see it in the theater. I might see it on my big screen TV. I might see it on my laptop. I have even watched things on my phone. Okay. Because that's how they send you the thing.
Yeah.
So you get in different ways. But it's like a quick run to see how good it is. And then if it's really good, you'll watch it a second time just to make sure that you've got all of the ducks in a row.
Did you get a chance to see Poor Things? Is that one of the ones that you have been able to screen yet?
I have it. And it's one of those, how you have it's like a carrot at the end of a stick.
Oh, yeah.
And if you get through this, you can see that. And I haven't gotten to that point yet.
Okay. Yeah, because I'm curious, because you mentioned Mark Ruffalo is in it, and I love him. He's just a tremendous actor, but I always feel like he's always yelling. Like he's always getting worked up about something and yelling at somebody. So I was curious if he's yelling at all in the movie, because he always seems agitated.
Well, he's the Hulk. That's
right. Exactly.
But I'll watch it before next week. I'll make sure that I do that so that then I can tell you if it's and Christmas movies. There's Christmas movies all over the place. Eddie Murphy's got one. Tim Allen is back as Santa Claus in that TV series. Yeah, it's Beyonce is back in her concert tour a la
that's right.
Taylor Swift. Taylor Swift's thing has added more to the 3+ hours that they had. So if you go on her birthday, you'll be able to see an even longer Taylor Swift concert movie.
Oh boy. So the one that I'm curious about, and my family's curious about, is Wonka. Is that going to be any good?
How much can I tell you? Because I can't review it yet.
Okay.
because it isn't time.
Mm,
Uh, but it is a visual treat
okay.
in terms of like the sets, the costumes, all of that kind of stuff. The people who did Paddington 2 are behind this. And
Oh,
and Timothy Chalamet, I think, will surprise you as Willy Wonka.
okay.
I
All
don't
right.
know that personally I would cast him as Willy Wonka, but you
Yeah.
find out what his origin story is and how he how did he get this chocolate factory going?
Okay. Well,
What was the
maybe, yeah. Well, maybe that's one since you can't quite review it yet. Maybe as we get closer, once you can, we can talk about that one in relation to the original, the one with Gene Wilder,
yeah.
as well as the reboot that was done with Johnny Depp a number of years ago. Because I think those both of those movies they're so opposite of each other in so many different ways, but they're
This
fascinating.
is a better fit. Yeah, this is a better fit for the Gene Wilder one.
That's kind of what I thought. It felt like, it was just, visually it's updated and because you have the benefit of improved filmmaking techniques, but it felt
And
like,
they have the song.
yeah.
They
Ah,
get to have the song in there. So
perfect.
that's that. I hope that's not a spoiler alert, but the song is there. So you'll get
Okay.
to enjoy.
Perfect.
Um, I sing along with it. Come on.
Who
Who am
doesn't? That's a
I?
great song.
But I'm sure you've seen the ads where Hugh Grant is an Oompa Loompa.
Right.
And you
Exactly.
find that origin story too, which is interesting.
Okay. Okay. All right. Well, I'm looking forward to that one.
I think Wonka could be one of those ones that at Christmas time, it will be seen over and over and over and over again.
Wow. Perfect. Perfect.
The United States Border Patrol has exciting and rewarding career opportunities with the nation's largest law enforcement organization. Border Patrol agents enjoy great pay, outstanding federal benefits, and up to $20,000 in recruitment incentives for newly appointed agents. If you are looking for a way to serve something greater than yourself, consider the United States Border Patrol. Learn more online at cbp.gov/careers/USBP. That's cbp.gov/careers/USBP.
Kind of going back to the top of this episode when we were talking about Disney movies, and there's been a lot, and this is in relation to Wish, which is out. It did come out this past weekend. It did
Right.
not do it did not do well at the theater at all. And I had kind of mentioned, it just looked like one where do I even want to see it? And I'm going back through the list of recent Disney movies, and I'm looking at it and I'm thinking, like Zootopia, I enjoyed it. Finding Dory, I enjoyed it. Moana, I enjoyed it. Coco, I enjoyed it. I liked Incredibles too. But kind of after that, it really starts taking a turn. Some of them are okay. Like I didn't mind Toy Story 4, Frozen 2 was fine, but like Onward was okay. Luca was okay. Raya and the Last Dragon was like they were okay, but none of them felt like classics in my mind. And it just even like Encanto, I know a lot of people talked about it because of the song. It was one of those where I remember watching it and I kind of fell asleep while watching it. So I don't know. Like I really feel like some of these Disney animated movies they're not living up to the past.
I think they kind of are searching for direction. They did have people in place who were very well versed at doing this kind of stuff. And they would stop somebody and say, no, we're not going to do that.
Mm.
And I think now they're so eager to find something that they greenlight stuff that shouldn't be.
Yeah.
They have been using short subjects as their way to test the market, to kind of see if a concept works.
Mm-hmm.
And they have done well with that. But they're already talking Frozen 3, 4, and 5.
Yeah.
Do we need that many? I don't think we do.
No, but it's a franchise, so you can go back to it. I heard something about like a Toy Story 5 is on
Yeah.
tap now. It's like, do we really need another Toy Story, especially after Lightyear kind of tanked? But
It's probably the Marvel influence Where Marvel, they're poor. How many do they have?
Right.
And they're struggling.
Yep.
They don't know where they're headed. But I think when you go back to the well too many times, the well dries up.
It does. Absolutely.
And in this, come on, at the end of it, there's fireworks spoiler alert. I'm telling you right now, there are fireworks at the end of the movie.
Mm-hmm.
And what do the fireworks create? The head of Mickey Mouse.
Oh,
now,
geez.
really, is this something we should be seeing? No, it should not be in there. I'm sorry. Those are hidden Mickeys that you should find, not crash into.
Right.
And I get that it's the 100th anniversary of the Disney company, but you don't have to do a retrospective where everything is. And it's too bad, because Ariana DeBose is a great talent, and she should have been a Disney princess. And I don't know that this is the best Disney princess for her to be. There's a cute goat in this named Valentino.
Oh, yeah.
And he's worth a stuffed animal. But the star, have you seen it? It looks like Pokemon.
It's
Pokemon,
very disturbing. Yeah.
Right? And you go, how does this fit in this? I'm not up for that. Or like the star that was in The More You Know. Do you remember those from morning cartoons where the star would be like,
yes.
And it would be, and that's what it is. And I think you could do a little better on the star. I think I could do on the star.
Okay.
So that's what you learn over the holidays, is that there are a lot of movies out there that underperform, and some that you never heard of that are going to be big overperformers. So be ready, because now you're going to see, instead of one movie in 10 screens, you're going to see probably 10 different movies on those 10 screens. And I think you need to be a savvy consumer, knowing what you're getting into before you just jump into it. Just because it's from a company that you've trusted in the past doesn't mean necessarily, they'll have things like, from the people who sat you in the seats for whatever.
Right.
That's an usher.
Yeah.
Somebody who ushered me into the theater, I should that. But that's about how thin it is. From one of the producers, or from a second tier writer, and I don't know, where is Alan Menken? Is he not writing songs anymore? Come on, get out there, write a song for us.
Yeah.
It's there. But I think after the holidays, we've had this kind of like, okay, now what?
Yep.
And now what is good? Yeah, I promise there are good movies that are coming that you will want to see. So carve out some time between now and Christmas, because you're going to get them each week. They'll be dropping into your theaters, and be ready for them. Because they're remarkable. And Saltburn, if you consider yourself a film buff and you want to see something that's different and interesting, it is very much on par with something like Psycho.
Okay.
You go, this is not at all what I thought this was going to be, and it surprises you. And so I would get to something like that before everybody knows what the secret is.
Perfect. Yeah, no, that sounds good. I mean, like a sixth sense almost, where you don't want the cat out of the bag. Exactly.
Right?
Exactly. All right. Well, on that note, a lot of good options here. Saltburn, you got The Color Purple, Maestro, Poor Things, Boys in the Boat, The Iron Claw. A lot of options here. So, get out to the theater and check something out. A lot of good stuff to do in the next few weeks as the temperatures turn and you need to get out of the house.
Next week, we're going to turn to TV. I'm going to talk about some things that are kind of interesting now because they're ramping up. The TV people are going to be in full force by January, and you'll start seeing new shows in February. And there's some that they're bringing back to try and remind you of how good they really were. So I have an interview for you next week, and we're turning to TV next week. So get ready.
Perfect.
No more shopping.
No more shopping. All right. Thanks again for listening to another episode of Streamed and Screened.